rest.
Counting careless in the sky. What a thrilling time to be alive.
What is up, everybody? This is the Georgia Show. I'm Jake Rowe. He's Rusty Mansell. And as always, we are presented by American Pride Bank. Listen, if you're looking for small business, large business solutions, you're looking for personal solutions, American Pride Bank is your answer. They are member FDIC. They're an equal opportunity lender, and they are looking to partner up with you, your trusted partner, your local bank, American Pride Bank. Go check them out right now. Well, as soon as this show is over, because Rusty, Georgia's on a heater, man. I hate to plagiarize. Hayes Fawcett there. He told us a couple days ago that Georgia was about to go on one, and here they are. They pick up Jae Lamar today. This is not completely unexpected, not unexpected at all. But Georgia got one of their guys at the very least at running back. You know, Georgia needed to get one in this class, and they really want two. And they got the first domino to fall their way in Jae Lamar.
Yeah, I said it just now on the national show with Josh Newberg. I felt like, with Jae Lamar, I think Georgia was in a really good spot. He took a March visit to Clemson, and they did a good job with him. I think they were in a pretty good spot with him. I never think Georgia was out of it, but I think Clemson definitely closed the gap. And he took all 5 of his visits over the course of late May into the end of June last weekend. And Georgia won the last visit there, and that's a great call by Georgia to lock in that last visit. I think that was one of those ones where you kind of know the pulse of the room, Jake, and they felt like with him they wanted to go last. They got the last visit. I think maybe Clemson probably led for a little while behind the scenes. Miami probably was a at least a co-leader or a leader at one point, but I think the consistency of Josh Crawford, I think being Josh Crawford coaching at Colquitt County High School a couple of years ago, certainly knew that a lot of people down there that didn't hurt. This kid grew up a Georgia fan, so let's not discount that. I mean, he wanted, that's a lifelong dream for him. So at the end of the day, it meant something, and this official visit locked it up for Georgia to get him this past weekend.
Yeah, and Rusty, I mean, I think that it goes without saying, when you look at the way Georgia's recruited, it's kind of wild, first of all, that Josh Crawford in 2 classes has gotten to recruit running backs from the high schools he used to coach at. I know, Usmani Kroma did not end up at Georgia, but Josh Crawford actually coached at Lee County and had him in the fold there for a little bit. FSU kind of swooped in at the last minute. But then, Georgia goes to Colquitt County. They get Jae Lamar. That's one of the plays right there that I talked about that really impressed me on film, was his ability to kind of break that tackle on the perimeter. I mean, listen, this guy catches the football out of the backfield extremely well. And I've said that kind of, between him and Savion Hyder and Derrick Cooper, that I probably like the other two a little bit more than him. But, man, this breakaway speed that this kid has, the way he catches the football out of the backfield, he's a really impressive football player, and he's one of the best players in the state of Georgia in this class, and he's earned that. And obviously Georgia prioritized him. They got him in the fold, and now it's time to kind of start to look for. I will say this though before we move on, what he told, the quote he gave Jeremy Johnson. I want to read this here real quick. The quote he gave us at Dawgs HQ on January 16. I grew up a big Georgia Bulldog fan. I always wanted to play and be there as a running back growing up. My rec and Pop Warner ball team was the Georgia Dogs. We looked just like the Georgia Bulldogs. I told my mom one day that I would be in a Georgia Bulldog uniform. That stood out to me growing up. My whole family is Georgia Bulldog fans. I mean, if you don't get to kind of put your arms completely around this one, then there's no other one to put your arms around. And this kid has always wanted to be at Georgia. And the recruiting process makes you think. It makes you think every single time. But you hear fans all the time when they miss out on guys, they say, I want guys who want to be Georgia Bulldogs. Well, now you get a blue chip prospect who also dreamed of being a Georgia Bulldog one day. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it means something. You know what I mean? Like it means something to him. And, you never say never in today's world, a portal and all those things. But this guy, this is a lifelong dream for him. And every single day and every time he puts on the silver breeches and that red helmet, that'll be a little different for him. Let's not beat around the bush. I like he's South Georgia tough. I like that he can catch the ball in the backfield. I like he has home run speed. I like that, you know, coming out of Colquitt County playing for Sean Calhoun, this is a guy that gets coached hard, especially on offense. It's a pretty detailed offense. I've known Sean for a long time, and, you know, what they run down there is pretty advanced. So, you know, I think he checks all the boxes for me, and he plays in big time environments down there. Obviously, in Region 1, and that in 6A in Georgia, some people call that the SEC as well. So, you know, he checks a lot of boxes for me, and you know, you can't get enough of these guys, especially at this day and age. And in-state, lifelong Georgia fan means a lot.
Yeah, and Kirby Smart, I think, if I'm not mistaken, has his first repeat high school running back. You know, I've had Dejan Edwards before. There from Colquitt County, and then now, you know, they get Jae Lamar, so they kind of get another guy from the same school at the same position. You don't see that happen very often. And listen, if he plays relative to his ranking the way Dejan Edwards played relative to his ranking, I think Georgia would be pretty happy, because Dejan Edwards was a daggum really good football player at Georgia and did a lot of good things. And Jae Lamar is going to have the opportunity to do that too. And I think all of us would agree at his size with his speed, more potential there, more kind of upside as a kind of big play SEC back for sure. So Georgia's on fire right now, Rusty. Let's recap this real quick. Just this week, yesterday they picked up Corey Howard. We didn't get a chance to overview that one, but I think we both understand 6'6", 6'5", 260 pounds.
Kamari Brooks Monday. Yesterday,
Kamari
Corey
Brooks
Howard.
on Monday. Yeah, yesterday was Corey Howard. Who was there? Somebody over the weekend that we're missing here? I mean, I know they recently picked up. There's somebody else on the on-pitch. Ogboko was right there too.
Yeah. I don't think they got anybody publicly Sunday, but we'll see about that a little bit later.
All right, there you go.
So you go Kamari Brooks Monday, you go Corey Howard Tuesday, you go Jae Lamar Wednesday. You like to think that you go Craig Dandridge on Thursday, tomorrow, which will be on the On3 channel. Friday, a couple of big decisions, man. Malachi Lee, the big tackle out of Hawaii. You know, he's going to make his decision. Chase Calicut, the safety cornerback prospect out of Houston, Texas. A lot of buzz around Georgia there. I'm going to be in Fort Lauderdale. You're in Minnesota. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to the OT. I'm going to OT7. See a lot of guys down there. Jared Curtis is going to be down there. It'll be the first time we get a chance to see him. So I'm hopping a plane in the morning, but actually be down there Friday night for this decision for Chase Calicut. And we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of momentum there with Georgia. With him, Malachi Lee, I get a lot of questions on him, Jake. You see our board, everybody asks, don't really kind of know right now. And him being in Hawaii, he's able to keep, you know, there's not a ton of media swinging by the old school there to do an interview with him. So we'll see where that thing goes. But that's another big decision. Saturday now is one of your favorite players, South Florida defensive lineman. He's going to make his decision. Big James Johnson's going to make his decision there. So we'll see. We'll see whether Georgia could particularly almost go what would that be? 6 days in a row with maybe a commitment.
Yeah, I mean it's about as good as it gets right there. That's about. As
I don't know that we've covered one, Jake. I tried to think back to that 2018 when Jamari Salyer and all those guys committed that 1 week right in December. Cade Mays, all those guys, I went bam, bam, bam. I don't know that I've seen this many decisions like this in a row, probably in the last 7 or 8, 9 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And, a lot of quality here, too. We're talking about a lot of 4-star prospects, a couple of guys just right outside the top 100 that have a chance to get inside the top 100, all of that. We're going to talk about who's next in just a second. But first of all, let's shout out our friends over at Sunheis. Use promo code DawgsHQ20 to get 20% off of every order at sunheis.com. Premium eyewear, folks. Durable, lifetime warranty on all frames. The polarization is injected, so it won't delaminate over time. The fog-free technology, Shane was showing it to me the other day, is unbelievable. Like a lot of these sunglasses, you can't make them fog up. It's unbelievable. And they won't break the bank. Listen, especially with the promo code 20, you're going to come in under $100 on just about every single pair of sunglasses they've got. It's like I said, with that promo code, go check them out, sunheis.com, promo code DawgsHQ20 for 20% off every order there. And we appreciate those guys, man. They're going to be in Asheville here towards the end of next month. We'll have more on that. So if you're going to be in Asheville for that kind of widespread panic deal that they got going on there, and we know there's a lot of good, cool, spread heads in Dog Nation, We have to get you hooked up there and get you out there to try some of these on. All right, so Rusty, we talked about this. We kind of stepped on this a little bit already, but I think it's worth getting into a little bit more. I want to start with James Johnson, start kind of backwards moving forwards on this. James Johnson is going to decide on Saturday. I don't want to get into what the news is on him today, but if you get a chance, go check out Dawgs HQ and find out what's being said about James Johnson's recruitment, because I think if you're a Georgia fan, you're going to find that particularly interesting. Chase Calicut, I have no problem in saying, looks like Georgia's got a little buzz there. So we got that one kind of nailed down. Malachi Lee, this might be the only one that is actually not looking good, or at least not looking very good for Georgia right now. We don't really know anything, but what we do know is that Michigan and Texas, Alabama appears to be kind of on the outside looking in, but Michigan and Texas are seem to be battling the hardest for him right now. Would you say that's the case?
This one's this is the needle mover right now. Everybody
wants to know about the one that's the toughest to get.
Yeah. I mean, that's, and I know this. I've made phone calls the last 3 days to as many people as I know. I feel like I know some people, and I don't know that anybody really knows right now a good pulse. You know what I mean? Some schools think this and some schools think that. Some people think this, some people think that. And, I hate to cop out on that, but this one's a freaking big boy decision, and I want to be right on my information. And I'm right on this part that Georgia's making a big ass run. Can I say big ass? Georgia's making a big run at this one, and this is someone they really, really want. Will they get him? I don't know, but I'm very confident that Georgia is recruiting this young man hard from every angle.
Apparently, you can say it. You said it twice. So hopefully,
sorry, I won't say big ass. I won't say big ass anymore. Sorry to our sponsors.
Well, we're about 15 minutes of the show. Hopefully, YouTube won't beat us up too much for it. But yeah, I mean, listen, that's the way everybody's mind works. Like, all right, who's the guy that you're least likely to get, or who's the guy that there's the least information about? Let's want to learn about him, because it seems like there's just good news on most every other person. Like I said, if you want to read the latest on James Johnson, there's a long way to go in that one. And when I say there's a long way to go, there's Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. So that's an eternity these days. That's just what I'm – but go check out kind of the newest things there. Rusty, obviously we've got Craig Dandridge, coming up tomorrow. We've already covered that one. We think that Georgia's in a pretty good spot there. What do you feel? What do we think about Derrick Cooper?
On that one, it's kind of the, to me, not ready to say Georgia's getting him. Not ready to say I feel like Georgia's in a good spot. I'm ready to say that Georgia should be mentioned here. You know what I mean? I think the national perception is they got Jae Lamar. They're not going to get him. Miami kind of battled for Jae Lamar versus Georgia. Georgia probably battling Miami here for Derrick Cooper, kid out of their backyard in South Florida. I think Georgia's worthy of mention here. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get him, but when you write a story on this guy and you mention it, and to people on Dawgs HQ, I think it's worthy to pay attention to. Now, there's whatever, 15, 16 days, whatever we got here. With that, 17 days. This is something to keep an eye on. Now, there's a lot of information to change hands there, but I do know this, that Derrick Cooper and his family really enjoyed it in Athens. They took a visit to Ohio State this past weekend, so he's a big boy recruitment. This is a kid that you love. This is a kid that's got the Jake Rose stamp at running back, but I'm not ready to say just because Georgia got Jae Lamar today to wave the white flag. We're going to pay attention to this Derrick Cooper decision, and we'll continue to monitor this thing as it gets closer.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that would be – listen, I'm on record as saying nobody's getting two of these guys. So if Georgia gets both of them, then I'll come on here and I'll eat my words, and I'll have
Georgia wants to. Georgia wants to. Now, I don't know if that's going to who they end up with, but I'm confident that Georgia wants two in this class.
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about it. Georgia does well down there too. Like, they do really well down in South Florida. They have for a long time, and it'll be interesting to see. It'll be really interesting to see kind of how the information flows over the next little bit, because Ohio State really wants this kid too, right? And Ohio State's kind of been in the same boat as Georgia in they were after Savion Hyder, and they were after, Derrick Cooper. And, Savion Hyder seems to kind of be shaking out a Michigan-Tennessee battle, and, who's going to get what when all the dust settles. I mean, it's going to be crazy. And if Georgia can somehow snatch both of these running backs, man, that's a big one. I think Texas is trying to make a move with Xavier Crowell, and obviously Alabama's a big deal there. There's still a lot of things left to happen this summer. Still a lot to stay in tune for, man, because not just till Saturday, which it kind of slows down a little bit after Saturday, but then you get all the way to July 12th. You got Caden Prothro and Derrick Cooper deciding. God knows what's going to happen between here and there. Oh, and now we know PJ Dean, or Pierre Dean, as he puts on his profile, which I love. He is going to decide on July 30th. So June 30th. So this month is just rolling right on. What's that, Sunday? Am I mistaken? Is it Monday? Mm-hmm. So, and there we go with PJ Dean, another Georgia guy.
Yeah, and so far, the kind of the buzz there, Georgia's likely in a good spot heading into the weekend. Now, I will say that, I talked to some people this morning on that, and I think that right now South Carolina is the other team heavily involved, and they certainly are they're not waving the white flag quite yet on that. So anybody that follows recruiting has learned to watch these things. That's one thing now. I think back in the day when somebody put in a crystal ball or an RPM pick, you kind of is like, okay, that's where that kid's going. Now you have to hear the kids say it. You know what I mean? And then because it's just, you just never know how these things are going to play out toward the end. I was in Florida this past weekend. It was a kid not going to Georgia, and I think he was down to Tennessee, Alabama, Miami, and a few other schools. I'm standing there with him, Jake, and he's 10 minutes from getting on the podium down in Naples, Florida, and I'm watching another school that's blowing him up, that they're trying to get him to answer the phone. And I looked down and I was like, are you going to get that? And he's like, I'm not getting it. So I'm just telling you, that's what's going on. Like right before the kid was about to walk up to make his decision, there were other schools still working, calling. So that's the way these things are going now.
Now, Georgia has 21 commitments in the class. They are up to number 4 in the On3 industry team rankings, which means, listen, they're on the rise too. You get Craig Dandridge tomorrow. They're on Notre Dame's heels. They're on Texas A&M's heels. They're a full point behind USC, who has 30 commitments at this point and 19 4-stars, but Georgia's gunning for that too. Dogs are going to end up with a top 3 or 4 class, here in the 2026 cycle, and we'll have it covered for you over here at Dawgs HQ. Listen, thanks so much to our sponsors, American Pride Bank. Thanks so much to Sunheis. Go over there and use that promo code DawgsHQ20, and we appreciate you being here. And like I said, follow along. We'll be back with you on Sunday to talk about what happens in the next few days. Take care.
Buckle up.